with that happiness and joy that I felt, I came up with that melody. Allah, Allah, Allah. And then what I did, I used that subhu bada min tala'atihi as the verses. So I said, subhu bada min tala'atihi والليل دجا.
Na 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 no. Na 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 no. And stop. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of the Muslim Nasheed Show. And today I am so overjoyed because I've got a legend here, a pioneer, someone that's revolutionized the nasheed industry, the Islamic industry, the entertainment industry with 100 million views on YouTube and countless millions of views on Spotify. I have the man, the lead, the only Masum from Labbayk. Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me with us, Sultan.
No. Thank you. Honestly, thank you. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. So we met at the Night of Vocals, right?
Absolutely. We met in Excel, wasn't it? I believe.
Yeah, it was Excel London. So you're finished now with the tour. So fill me in. How was the experience? And because you've been doing Night of Vocals for a while, right? So when you initially how did it initially kind of start? Like what made you initially go to the one many years ago and then I guess come back again?
I guess it primarily comes down to our friendship with Ohi. He's the kind of the person behind the scenes, mashallah. Although he's a very close friend of ours, and he's basically invited us to the very first night of vocals, which took place in 2017, if memory serves me correct.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's just been going on. And I think the only year that was missed was probably the pandemic, and then afterwards, and it's just been carrying on really. So alhamdulillah, it's been great, and it's always great to go to the tour with the other brothers, with the Saeed, with the Ilyas Mao, with the Ehsaan, all the other brothers that attend. It's just it's a really beautiful experience, and I think more than anything for us, especially the other brothers that are performing, it's that suhbah, that companionship.
MashaAllah.
And the reminders we give each other, it's really, really helpful.
MashaAllah. We should mention, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know from Instagram that he is the organizer of Night Vocals. But what I didn't know, and maybe you can fill in the viewers, is he's not just an organizer of the event. He's actually got more strings to his bow. Obviously, he knows how to make friendships with some of the big artists in the world, and he's a Muslim, mashallah. But he does more than that, right? Do you want to just fill in our viewers what else he does?
Absolutely. I mean, without going too much into detail, but subhanallah, brother Ohi is actually he's a sound engineer. So he's actually he's a vocal producer. He does lots of recording, mixing, mastering, that kind of stuff on the sheets. But equally, he's himself is an artist. A lot of people probably won't know that.
I didn't know that.
Used to do nasheed back in the days, and he still does. Small snippets. If you go on his Instagram, you'll hear some of his beautiful work.
MashaAllah.
Collaborations as well, with other guys. Really good.
MashaAllah. We will definitely look on YouTube and Spotify for his name and hopefully invite him to come on the show, inshallah.
Stereochild.
Okay, what is that his name?
Instagram,
nasheed name. Okay, and like what in the credits for your nasheeds, has he got the same name or is it Ohi or?
I think it's just Ohi Ahmed.
Okay.
Because subhanallah, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about these nasheeds introduced over the years. Ohi has been the backbone to some of these big tracks that we've made.
Really? Okay. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Mashallah. Okay. So I guess we should really let's talk a little bit about some of the interesting elements of your history. Like I think what I'd be really interested in is actually How did it kind of like start? Like before even Labbayk, how did you know that maybe you have a bit of a gift or even like a hint? Did you have any premonition? Did you have anyone kind of praise you, or did you know from the beginning? What was that story? Because I know a little bit by doing research, and also obviously I spoke to you previously, mashallah. But yeah, go ahead, fill the viewers in.
So I've never actually had any formal music training in that sense. Um, so I think for me, from early childhood, I've always been listening to nasheeds, whether they're Arabic or Bangla or Urdu. You hear those nasheeds, and I've been growing up listening to those nasheeds. Um, when I used to attend school, the school I used to go to, secondary school, I was asked to do the adhan, so I became a regular muazzin there. So for the
Mashallah.
salahs that were done in the school, I used to call out the adhan. And ultimately, in the year 2004, the Muslim Society, the Student Society, they basically asked me to set up a group to sing nasheeds for the Eid gathering. So we had an Eid gathering in the school.
So they like, when you were doing azan, what made you do azans firstly? Like what was the reason for you to step up and do azan?
I mean, it's that too is it's quite interesting because I've never saw myself doing adhan.
Yeah.
I think
Were you an extrovert kind of person or introvert kind of person?
a
Would you say?
bit more introverted than extroverted.
Yeah.
But it was actually perhaps, you've got these Arabic classes that you go
Yeah.
to learn Quran
Yeah.
and Salah. So
Yeah.
I
Mashallah.
had a teacher many years back, and I remember, I don't know why he felt that I could do it. He specifically
Wow.
pointed me out and said,
Huh?
"Masum,
Out of everybody, you.
out of all the kids there, he just said, can you go and do the adhan? I want to hear you do the adhan."
Is it
And
because of the way you recited? Maybe. Maybe.
Allahu Alam, perhaps.
Subhanallah. But you see,
But
can you see though, like like literally, imagine if he didn't. Can you see the power of Allah? This history you go back in, that your Islamic teacher, Allah, Alam, like you said, for some reason he picked you out, and then it's kind of like the roots. It's a beautiful. Yeah, carry on as you were saying. So, he picked you out. You did azan.
and
And
then
did you get any reaction from people saying beautiful azan?
people said, carry on, make sure you do adhan, you improve on it and carry on doing it. And since then, I've done adhan in school, and following that, the student society, they basically asked me to set up a group. Well, not even a set up a group, let's get some brothers together
Okay.
and do some nasheeds for the Eid gathering, specifically Eid gathering. So the way I went about it, I made a poster. It was no colors in there, black and white, just some text saying, uh, I think it said something. The headline was probably like live nasheeds for Eid gathering, something like that. And I said, if you're interested, come after school at this time in this place, in the prayer room. That was it. And at that point, I wasn't in the school myself. I was actually to the attached sixth form college. So
Okay.
I was slightly older than the other kids.
Okay.
So alhamdulillah, three brothers showed interest at that point, and they came along. And so we got practicing, and we actually practiced some of the classics like Brother Zain Bika's Nasheed, Brother Dawud One's Ali's Nasheeds, really old classics. So we rehearsed a few. We made lots of mistakes. We were really nervous. When the day came to perform, we were really nervous. There's 400 kids. Imagine these are our peers in front of us, plus the teachers.
Yeah.
It was nerve-wracking. But we pulled it off. And then after that point, we started getting queries from local organizations saying, "Oh, I heard, we heard that you did nasheeds in that school. Can you come and do something for our organization here?" So it really kicked off from there. Then we actually formalized it in the year 2004. We actually formalized it, and we carried on doing nasheeds.
What do you mean by formalizing it? What does that mean? Did you come up with the name Labbayk?
So at that point, we came up with the name. Yeah. So the name itself wasn't actually given. I didn't come up with the name. It's another friend of mine. He's not associated with the group in any way, but he actually came up with the name. He's a really close friend of mine. He came up with the name Labbayk, and he said, "Use this name. It's a really good name. Go for it." And then so we stuck to that name since then.
Beautiful name.
And
Beautiful.
you know, we then started working on our own stuff. So we wrote a nasheed called Subhanallah. We also wrote a nasheed for weddings as well, a wedding nasheed, and we started performing these nasheeds live in events across the capital, across London, where we live. And slowly, we started branching out, performing outside London as well. And it was in the year 2007, I believe, when I really wanted to record something, record an album. So I approached one brother, his name is Brother Sajid Pandor from Gloucestershire, and I took my proposal to him. I said, look, I've got these 8 tracks that I want to record. I've got drafts.
How did you find Sajid? Like, how did you find him, man?
I think it's through some mutual friends.
Okay, and he was it a producer or mixer or sound engineer?
He's neither of those. He's actually he set up his own record label. So at the time they were representing. You might know Brother Kamaluddin. So Brother Kamaluddin was one of those early artists they signed up. So they were working with him, and then we basically then were signed up by Brother Sajid in the year 2008. We actually released our first album. We recorded it, went to the studio, we recorded the first album, released it, and in the same year we actually performed in the Trafalgar Square. They had Eid in the Square event. I think that was the second year in running that they were holding that event, and they invited us to perform. We performed four of our tracks from that album, and it really kicked off from there. We really kicked off because we performed in front of 40,000 people at that point. So that was like 40,000 people in front of us.
Wow.
It was a very nerve-wracking experience. It was televised on Islam Channel, and subhanAllah, it really
were they, you know, those original people that you that came that day, when you made the advertisement and they came, were they the people that were part of Labbayk?
So sadly, no. So one of the brothers, one of them remained, and still is. It still remains with the group. His name is Imran.
Imran. Yeah.
And then in the year 2006, and I know I'm going slightly back there.
No, go ahead.
In the year 2006, because we were, it's just me and Imran. I went looking for an artist to join the group. So
did they decide they just can't do it, or
yeah,
they just fair enough. It's a big commitment, right? It's a big commitment.
It is. And then after that, we basically I went looking for artists to join the group. So
did you do the same advertisement in Islamic Society? No,
this was more around because now we're more outside, and
you're a bit more famous, I guess.
A bit more. We made a few more links in the local communities. A few more brothers know us as well. So we started branching out a bit. There were 2 potentials that we could have gone for, and then one of the brothers, he really didn't want to take it that far, even though he could sing. He really didn't want to progress it. And the other brother, and I actually accidentally, bumped into him in a friend's house, in a mutual friend's house, was Ehsaan. So I actually,
no way.
At that very point, I remember in my friend's bedroom, in fact, this arrangement happened where I basically said, "Are you interested in joining my group, Labbayk?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm up for it." And the only condition is obviously then he can also do solo as well as being part of the group. I said, "Absolutely fine, no problem." So
was he like so? When it was mutual, how did that conversation start? Was he like, did he start singing randomly, or was he like,
he was singing as well. He was singing.
So you knew about him?
I knew of him, so I've never met him. So when the mutual friend introduced us both, that's when I said, "Are you interested in joining the group?" And yeah, he was up for it, and obviously he had the condition that he'd also like to do solo. So alhamdulillah, we headhunted him, if you like, at that point. So he's been in the group since.
Yeah. You got superstars in your group, mashallah. They call it super group in the world. So it's amazing. Did you did you have a feeling, or did you ever have a feeling that, as I mentioned to you, you got more than 100 million views on YouTube, so many millions of streams on Spotify, but did you have a feeling that you'd ever be so popular? I messaged a friend and he was like blown away when I told him that I'm going to be interviewing this celebrity. Yeah. So did you have a feeling that you'd have this impact in any way?
No, no, I have to be really honest, and no, not really. And I guess much of it comes down to some key things for us. Number one, when we started the group, we maintained the policy that we're not doing this for fame, we're not doing this for money, we're not doing this for attention. We're only doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's number one. Number two, we will never use musical instruments in our nasheeds. It's always to be voice only. Third, was that anything we produce, anything we record, any lyrics we work on, they are vetted by scholars. So they're vetted by at least 4 scholars, four
Amazing.
Muslim scholars, in their own rights, very, in their own respective fields. So we always maintain that, and just I guess the fourth thing is I guess making sure that we don't make this into a full-time thing for ourselves, because then and I respect other brothers, who are doing this as a full-time thing. Totally respect it. That is the bread and butter for us. We wanted to create a separation whereby we said, no, we maintain full-time jobs, we have our own jobs, and keep nasheed separate. So then it doesn't in any way kind of meddle with our intention why we're doing it. You see, because then if you make the object money, then then your kind of intention is like, okay, I need to be producing more, I need to be releasing more things, and slowly. So I'm not saying your intention is going to go, it's bad intention. Of course, you can make money through this process, but for us, we just want to create separate, just so then it's a really organic process, and it's done for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's not done for any other motives.
So 2008, what was your biggest hit? Your album?
I have to say it was Subhanallah. Subhanallah was probably the biggest hit from the year 2008, from that first album, which was Rhymes of Praise.
Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah.
So you met Ehsaan joined the group. I read that Ehsaan joined and then later he left. I was wondering if you got any, because you hear about these boy bands, they break guitars and stuff and they go crazy on stage. I'm guessing that didn't happen because you guys are too nice. So, carry on speaking. So I'd like to hear the reason why Ehsaan left and why he joined.
Of course. So, the history carries on with, in 2009, we did some international tours. We went outside the UK, we did a couple of different countries. 2010, 11, we did a couple. So I think it just carried on. In the year 2011, 2012, we actually recorded our third album, I'd say, because the second one was a charity collaboration album with Ehsaan led on.
I read
in 2010. Yeah. Ibrahim College, and in 2012 we released our official second album, but third album if you count Ehsaan's one in there as well. But the second album, The Greatest Gift, which we released in 2012,
that is the very big hit, very very big.
That one was very well received, alhamdulillah. And I think that the main track from there was Allahu.
Allahu, 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 Allahu,
but then you've got other tracks in there like Ya Rabbi Bi Mustafa. You've got other
That's
tracks in there like The
yeah.
Greatest Gift and many others. So I guess then we left a big gap between 2012 and 2016, and in that time, because we were busy, we got married, kids.
Mashallah.
So it's
So you guys were very young, really young.
yes. When we started the group, yeah, very young. I was probably just finishing college in 2004, I think.
Did that cause any like for me, it caused a bit of like when I was looking for marriage, I had to be transparent about, the Nasheed world. Did that cause any issues for you in marriage or anything, or were people completely accepting of you? Because
No,
yeah,
that's not, because remember, that's where I think it's really important for us to create that separation between work, and then nasheeds as more of a means of conveyance to others.
mashallah,
Because we use nasheeds as a means of da'wah. So we've had quite a lot of non-Muslims contact us about our work. And we also hear about people becoming Muslims as well, hearing some of the nasheeds. So it's really inspiring to hear and read those things. But and then equally at the same time, we want to give an alternative to the ummah where we use vocal only nasheeds that is in praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and praising the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So and that's always been our object. So I think for us, I think that's quite key, and we've tried over the years to maintain that as best we can, and not diverging away from it in any shape or form. So in 2016, that's when we released the third album, which is Gratitude. And in there, I know we left a big gap, like 4 years gap. We've had tracks like Rabbana,
ربنا يا ربنا 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 ربنا يا ربنا.
a few other nasheeds in there, Day of Eid, for example. So those nasheeds are in there. And then again, left another big gap.
So was there? I can't remember because I remember reading. Was there a period where? Because I read Ehsaan left the group. What year did he leave the group and then come back?
That was in 2015, and that was only for under a year because he was actually quite busy. He couldn't.
So when I read on the internet, he left. It was more like to do solo work, or was it just was he actually leaving forever?
No. It was more work. I
Okay.
would say. And then he rejoined again. So,
okay, so it wasn't. Was he part of every album? Was he part of every album?
Apart from the Gratitude album, I think it's part of all the other albums. Yeah.
Oh, subhanallah.
Gratitude
So it
was the
wasn't.
only one.
It wasn't as juicy as I was expecting. He left, pursuing some other career path, So no, it was mashallah. Fair enough. It's just he left to he got busy with work, and then you guys came back and carried on. So yeah, carry on. You were talking about your album.
Then I think in the year 2020, that's when we released our most recent album, actually, the Remembrance album. I know it's quite a big gap, but it's just time commitment in recording. I think the editing takes the most amount of time. I'm sure you'll appreciate because I know you do the sheets yourself, mashallah. So
not on your level, obviously, but yeah.
No, and of course it's much better than ours, mashallah.
No.
So in terms of just that, I think when you compose something and you go and record it, and then it's that really just editing everything, make sure it sounds proper. It takes a huge amount of time, huge amount of patience as well. I mean, it's not me that needs to be patient. I think it's our sound engineer that we use. They need a lot of patience to go through because there's so many layers you're recording. When you hear the final output, you don't kind of realize how much is in there. There's so many voices in there doing so many different things
The harmonies, right? The stacking the
harmony,
harmonies.
ad-lib, everything that goes in there.
And do you guys thicken your voice as well? Do you guys thicken? You add layers to your, original sound.
It depends. It depends on the track. So some tracks where we want the power presence there, we might double, triple, quadruple, even in some cases, that voice to make it really powerful. Like Imagine a Day, for example, which is an Ehsaan's album, the Oh My Lord album.
Masum.
That one, you can see there's this element of power in there initially. As soon as it starts, because there's like a couple of voices there, and we've got several layers there, and with the harmonies as well. So it's quite full on. Allahu, I would say the chorus is quite full because there's
I can hear it.
You've got highs, you've got high mids, you've got high, lows.
You got bass as well,
Bass in the voices. So it's quite a lot of layers together. It takes a long time to edit these things, and I'm guessing what I'm trying to say is that the time commitment is quite hard. You have to dedicate a huge amount of time to this, away from family, away from everything. So that's why we have these massive gaps between actually releasing albums and whatnot.
Like, so how do you kind of come up with, I'm drifting between my questions, but how do you actually come up, because we're going into this area, how do you come up with your nasheeds? Like, what's your creative process, which is something I'm, as a nasheed artist, right, which I guess makes this interview a bit unique from other interviews, is I have my own process. So I'd be interested to hear how a fellow artist like yourself comes up with your ideas.
Inspiration comes through different means, different ways. I mean, sometimes it might be the melody that comes first and the lyrics after. Lyrics just follows on. And other times it'd be the lyrics that'll come first, and then you just put a melody to it that goes with it. So I guess it really, really varies. Just an example, we have a track called Ask Him. It's called Ask Him, from our first album, Rhymes with Praise. That track is based on some poems. A sister sent us from Pakistan, so she sent us some poems in English. And I looked at the poem, I thought, I can actually make this into an nasheed. So I sang it. Gather your hands together, send your prayers away, whisper your love to Allah, and ask Him what you make. Something like that. I thought, I can do something with it. And the melody just automatically flowed. So I had something there. And it's just really been just working out what harmonies to put on, what to put too much, too less.
Gather your hands together and send your prayers away. Whisper your utmost love to Allah and ask Him what you may. Gather your hands together and send your prayers away. Whisper your utmost love to Allah and ask Him what you may.
Then equally, you get an nasheed like, I think, Rabbana, for example. Rabbana, I knew the melody I was going to do. I knew it because it's a very well-established melody from the Indian subcontinent. So when I had the melody, I heard it, I had the inspiration that now I had to just write something that reflects that melody, but not just that, it has to be powerful enough, because you are singing about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the world, Lord of the universe. So immediately, when I wrote it, first I thought, okay, how am I gonna start this off? Oh Allah, you are the greatest, nothing can compare to you. Something like that, it's starting off with something really powerful, and then later on going into more detail about making dua to Allah, asking Allah, remembering Allah in times of good and the bad, all of that stuff. And then right at the end, so okay, you know what? The whole nasheed is in English. I need to go slightly different here. I need to add something different. So then I wrote some couplets in Bangla. That's my native tongue. I literally wrote there and then. I wrote that Bangla, and I checked it with my some family members to make sure it's okay.
Sylheti Bangla.
Shuddha, actually. So my mom's side of the family, they're from they're not from Sylhet. My dad's side is from Sylhet, but my mom's side is not. So I've got the advantage of getting the best of two worlds, because
Mashallah.
I can actually rely on my mom's side to check the lyrics that I write. And alhamdulillah, some of my uncles, they're academics themselves, so when they read it, they can check it for me and just, yep, that makes sense, go for it, go sing it. So it's really helpful to have that support from them.
So you know when you come up with these nasheeds, and I guess one of the things I want to ask is about how you've decided the scholars you decided and how you share with those scholars. But prior to that, how do you know that you like this nasheed, that you think this nasheed is suitable? Or do you do a bunch of nasheeds and then, a lot of artists, what they do like, I don't know, 50 nasheeds and they go, okay, these are my best 20 kind of thing? Or do you kind of like, I'd be interested to know, like, how do you know?
So I do have like an archive of material that I can use. So archive in the sense that I've got samples that I've recorded on my phone. I've got lyrics, lots of lyrics, stuff that I've wrote myself, lyrics that have been sent by other people, brothers and sisters out there. So I've got quite a lot of material that I can actually rely on. Yeah.
Is that to use in other nasheeds or?
Yes.
Okay.
Specifically for that. So we've got those, but equally,
I hope it's locked away safe, right?
It's somewhere. So equally, we might rely on something more established, like Ya Hanana, for example, is such a beautiful qasida. It's sung in the media in Malaysia, and it's very, very popular there. So we thought there's not a vocal only version of that. Let's do one. Let's make it a vocal only version one, and then we did one. Ya Hanana that we released recently.
Ya Hanana, 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 Ya Hanana.
Similarly, قد كفاني علم ربي. There are lots of versions available out there. But what really touched me is the meaning behind it. And Imam al-Haddad, rahimahullah, he the intention behind writing this masterpiece, this poem, it's profound. And if you see the translation of it, just out of this world. It's amazing, amazing, amazing words. So again, it's something that's already produced. It's already written. All we have to do is just work with the melody a bit. We recorded that and released as part of the Greatest Gift album.
وشعاري ودثاري قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري فدعائي وابتهالي شاهد لي بافتقاري قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري فدعائي.
And then you've got some tracks where we collaborated with other people to release like the Allahu one. So the Allahu was actually, the melody came to me, I think I might have mentioned this to you.
Yeah.
The melody came to me in India, South India. I was actually performing in South India.
Yeah.
I was in an orphanage. So the organization that they invited me to go and perform their conference. They had many conferences as well, and they had a big conference with like 700,000+ people. So, but they had these smaller kind of visits in between before the big day. And I went to this orphanage, and there's beautiful children there, and they would do qasidas, Qasida Burda, many other qasidas, like the Urdu Naats, for example, they were singing, and it's just it was absolutely mind-boggling. When you hear them, like, wow, these beautiful qasidas being sung by the beautiful children, and they then asked me to sing something. I thought, what am I going to do? And then literally there and then, in that moment, with that happiness and joy that I felt, I came up with that melody. Allah, Allah, Allah. And then what I did, I used As-Subhu Bada min Tala'atihi as the verses. So I said, As-Subhu Bada min Tala'atihi wal-Laylu Sajda.
So nice.
So then once that, I literally did it there and then. And then when I came back to London, I worked with Ohi and another brother from Qatar, Abu Yusuf. And then we developed this track. We said, okay, let's make it multilingual. Let's make it as many languages as we can. So we got to 8, and Alhamdulillah capped it at 8. I thought it's going to become too long otherwise. So I put a break in it. And then we recorded it. Then we published as part of So we released a part of Brother Yusuf's album, Live Forever, I think his album was called, and our album, The Greatest Gift.
I just want to say a real thank you for that episode. Really beautiful to hear the story of Labbayk and to hear about your creative process. So we can maybe carry on another time, inshallah, and talk about how you kind of send it to scholars and whatnot. So
for giving me this opportunity.
no, honestly, I learned a lot actually. You talking about, because I send my stuff to Islamic people, not actually scholars. I wish I could send to scholars, but that is like beautiful, amazing, and I've really learned a lot, and it's really inspiring to hear. And what I do want to say to you, brother, I know you have to go, is I will forever remember how you treated me and how nice you were, because I'm a nobody right now, right? And you're on a platform, right? You're on a platform and you are a famous person. So for you to give me your time, and same with Ehsaan Tahmid and the other Nashida, it's beautiful. It really is. Like, you're talking about brotherhood and stuff. It really means a lot. So Jazakallah khairan.
Jazakallah khair for having me.
Okay, no problem.
Keep me in the dua.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Take care.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.